The holiday season is over. People are wrapping up the presents. They are putting the trees back, taking down the lights. A lot of people are heading back to work. Today is Monday. I know one person, though, who is not heading back to work, and that is Ruben Amorim. Breaking news today. I'm sure you guys have all been watching videos. I'm sure you guys have all seen it. Obviously, the club has put out a statement. But yes, Ruben Amorim has been sacked by Manchester United this morning. This comes off the back of results, right? We haven't lost in the last couple games, but performances weren't great. The mood has not been great, and Amorim's press conferences have not been great either. And so he did kind of go off the rails a little bit after the Leeds match. We're going to talk about all of it today, though, but because I want your thoughts, I want your reactions, I want your opinions on all of it. I do have a poll going in the chat right now. Let me know what you think in there. We're going to go along. We're going to look at the club statement. We're going to look at what some journalists have to say. We're going to look at, the events leading up to this, what this means going forward, who's responsible, who shares what percentage, all that kind of stuff, what this means for Ineos, because they don't come off this looking too great either. So, and the players as well. So I'm just going to get comfortable here, but but we're going to do all that today, you guys. This is United everybody. I am your host, Sean. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share the video. We're going to dive right in. Let's get started with the club statement, because obviously this is what has kind of kicked it all off today. So this was put out by the club this morning. Pretty cookie cutter, pretty straightforward, pretty brief. Ruben Amorim has departed his role as head coach. Now, they made sure not only to put head coach in there, but to capitalize the H and the C as well. We're going to come back to that a little bit. As head coach of Manchester United, Ruben was appointed in November 2024, led the team to a UEFA Europa League final in Bilbao in May. United sitting sixth in the Premier League, the club's leadership has reluctantly made the decision that it is the right time to make a change. This will give the team the best opportunity of the highest possible Premier League finish. The club would like to thank Ruben for his contribution and wishes him well for the future. Darren Fletcher will take charge of the team against Burnley on Monday. So Fletcher coming in as interim boss now. How do you guys feel about that, about Fletcher coming in? Big up, Red Devil teacher. I think that's Dylan, by the way. Big up, Dylan. Hope you're having a good morning, my friend. I'm going to get out of the way of the breaking news thing here. So that is the club statement. Let me put this over here. Tabasti in the house, Darren Fletcher, the running man that will be with us until the next head coach. That's basically the way it is, right? He's interim. The club has basically said, he's interim. So I don't really think we can expect anything more than that. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want anything more from Darren Fletcher. He's not super experienced as a coach. He's only been charge of the under 18s for like a couple months basically, and he's doing a fine job there, but that's just not enough experience. I'm even questioning Xavi's experience. I even question Ruben Amorim's experience. I would definitely question Darren Fletcher's experience. But welcome everyone, one and all. Let me know what your thoughts are on this as we go along, because I'm going to go through a lot of statements here first. Obviously, we just went through the club statement. I've got some statements here from Ben Jacobs as well that I want to get your thoughts on, because he's had something to say on what has led to this, what has precipitated all this, and whatnot. So this is what Ben Jacobs had to say on all this. It says, more on Ruben Amorim's sacking. United believe there haven't been enough signs of evolution or progress. Denials of power struggles are ultimatums, but understand there was a breakdown between Amorim and Jason Wilcox. United backed the squad to achieve their objectives this season, including getting European football. Manchester United insiders insist Amorim was aligned in adding 3 forwards over a midfielder last summer, especially knowing they are versatile. So again, maybe a little pushback on the idea or the implication that Amorim maybe wasn't on board with what was going on behind the scenes recruitment wise. Interesting statement there. And then Jacobs closes with, whoever replaces Amorim will still be head coach, not a manager. No coach will ever sit above the leadership team or be given a recruitment veto like Eric Ten Hag, as United's new model is now collaborative. Interesting. I want to know your thoughts on what Ben Jacobs had to say there. Dylan says, Fletch will be fine, but at this point, everything is up in the air. Yeah, who knows, man? Like, literally, who freaking knows what's going on? You just have to laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll either rage or you'll cry at this point, because and this is another reason, Dylan, like, why, like, I've pushed back when people say, well, the league's not shit. Well, the league is shit. How many managers have been sacked this season? Like, you're not getting sacked if you're doing well. And with so many top managers getting sacked, like Arne Slot's probably on his way out the door soon. Chelsea just sacked Maresca. We just sacked Amorim. How many managers have Forrest gone through? West Ham. These guys, they're sacking managers left and right. It's a shit season, shit league this season. And that's the evidence right there. Look at the table, too. Look at how tight it is. It's ridiculous. Bexy Big Up says, you could tell he was under serious pressure. I also think they said to him he needed to win at Leeds and Burnley. He knew it was over after Leeds. Last home games were rubbish. I'd almost argue that even before Leeds, there was something going on. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too, because some journalists have been kind of saying the same thing. Because even the pre-match presser against Leeds, he didn't look too happy. The post-match was just all sorts of freaking up there. But Alex Roche, welcome to the channel, says the owners need to go. Protests need to happen. Canceled games. Yeah, I do think that the owners I don't think they're the greatest owners. We could do a whole nother stream on that itself. I think that they're better than the Glazers. I do think they do care. I do think they do want good things for the club. I just think that their judgment. I'd question their judgment. I question their decision making. I question their hustle, their initiative to get things done. They have. Sir Jim has put in a lot of money. They have revamped Carrington. The players that they've signed have been good players in my opinion, but they're just not great owners. I don't think they really know what they're doing. I mean, look at Nice. Nice have gone through like half a dozen managers in the last 2 seasons alone. Their judgment is shit. They're just absolute shit. Now, Barada, Wilcox, they're thrown into this as well too. Tobias says, I heard Xavi is planning a UK trip too. That's funny. Like says, one thing Amorim was right with was the midfield. Oh yeah, the midfield is shit. The midfield is absolute shit. Like, I get his system starts from the back, but again, the midfield is where we're losing pretty much every battle, where we've lost every battle since he's taken over. We don't have midfielders to play a 2. We just don't. And he didn't have to switch to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. He could have played a 3-5-2, and we could have just rotated Cunha and Mbumo and Shesko and maybe use them a little wisely. But hey, like I said, managers will get themselves sacked or backed depending on the decisions that they make, man. Bexy says, it's kind of crap the board haven't gotten it right in the decade. Well, this is now Ineos now, and Ineos are not free from scrutiny and accountability here because they've been here, 2 years, and they've made some shit decisions. We're going to talk about, I'm still even getting through some of the statements from the journalists as well, man. Red Devil, yeah, it would be generous at times. So Ben Jacobs had a little light to shed on some of the other stuff, kind of expounding on that a little bit. This is what David Ornstein had to say. Now, David Ornstein had a piece earlier, and I wanted to kind of go through it with you guys. I'll touch upon the main points. I'm not going to go upon everything. I'll make this bigger so y'all can read it much easily. So he's basically saying that the club's leadership, including Barada and Wilcox, they've arrived at the decision basically after a breakdown in relations behind the scenes. Now, Ornstein adds that the terms in the deal that he signed to leave Sporting, Amorim said there's no clause present to enable a discounted exit, meaning United have to pay up his contract in full, so more money taken away from transfers because we've had to sack another individual. That's Ashworth, Ten Hag, and now Amorim that we've had to pay to bring and pay to sack. So again, Ineos, shit decision-making, shit judgment, because it was set to run until 2027. Following the Athletic story on Monday, a club statement officially announced, yep, the right time to make a change, give the team the best opportunity. Yep, that's what we went through already. So Ornstein had this to say, that after the draw at Leeds, Amorim hinted at tensions. We spoke about that last night. If you guys want to go back and watch that stream, we did a little bit dive on trying to dissect what we think Amorim meant by some of his comments after the Leeds match, because you could really look at it a number of ways, honestly. Ornstein says he made it clear his post-match press conference that he considered himself the manager of United, not the coach. He said it's going to be like this for 18 months or when the board decide to change. That was my point. I want to finish with that. I'm not going to quit. I will do my job until another guy is coming here to replace me. Finally, Ornstein had this to say, that Amorim has been criticized for his tactical inflexibility due to that preference for the 3-4-3. That the Athletic, though, does say that they've reported that United have been trialing other formations. Remember, there was all sorts of rumors coming out way back when that we've been practicing a back four in training. He has done a back four. He has done well with a back four, but he doesn't seem to want to stick with it. We saw that against Newcastle. We saw that against Wolves as well. And so, interesting interesting stuff here. Let me put this back small so we can talk like grown-ups here. Let's see what y'all are saying here. Bex says the football was crap as well. He should have adjusted a bit. I don't see why it was that deep to change it a bit. I think Amorim, in my opinion, Amorim is two things. I think that Amorim does believe that this is what all managers do. They believe that the way they see football, the way they want to play it is the best way. That's the way they want to play it. That's fine. I don't care about that. But I also got the point where I felt like he was too afraid of being perceived as maybe not being good enough because not his system was working, right? The back three wasn't working, the back four was working. I worry that maybe he was just hesitant to stick with it because, and I get it, like why bring in a back three manager and then tell him to play four at the back? It doesn't make sense. I really don't get that at all. But CRM, what's up? Says the protests ever come back? I don't think the protests really do anything. The only time I've ever seen it really do well in the recent memory is the Liverpool match that got called off after the Super League announcement. There needs to be a walkout for sure. You can't just not go to the match, especially if you're a season ticket holder, because you'll get your season tickets taken away if you do that too many times. But leaving, that does send a message as well. I think that could be because that if you do a protest, nobody's going to see it. Like we talked about last night, no one's going to see a protest because Peacock, these streaming services, they don't start showing the footage until literally right before the opening whistle. So no one's going to see it. Do a walkout in a match that you can't ignore that. Everybody's watching the United match. Everyone will see a massive walkout. The problem is there's so many people, and myself included, who will go to the matches from afar. So you do have a lot of visitors. Serum says, I'm not celebrating with the sacking. Don't trust the people we have in charge. It's their fault. Why we have the worst manager. Yeah, I mean, they play a big role in that. I think that they do play a role in not backing him properly. I think that it's clear from early on that the midfield was a huge issue, and we just haven't really done anything with it, unfortunately. Big up, Kai. Said Amorim wanted to be sacked. No manager can set a team that bad. Well, I feel for him a little bit. With you guys remember the bench at that Leeds match? I mean, it was literally youngsters, Xerxes and Malacia, and that was it. That was literally it. Now, I don't think Amorim helped himself by only bringing on Xerxes, especially when that attacking substitution made a big difference. I think he could have done a little bit more. I think Lacey Fordorgu was screaming to be the next decision, but we'll see. CRM says fans protest before the games, then attend the games. Yeah, and that's the thing. Going to the game is not. They want to keep their tickets, so they have to go. But again, go to the game and then walk out if you really want to send a message. It just is what it is. It's a big reason why I don't purchase anything from the club, with the rare exception of like my MUTV subscription, because that was on sale. Let's be honest, it was like $5 for the year. And then Dylan and I went to the museum. So yeah, I do contribute in that sense, but there's no way I'm spending $150 on a freaking shirt. Now, if we had gotten to 3K before Christmas, then one of you guys would have gotten your pick of something from the mega store, but we didn't get there. So, but yeah, no, it is funny, the people who protest and they're out there wearing like the kits and stuff. So I do get it. I really do get it. Obviously I'm not a local, so my stance goes so far in that sort of thing. I can't speak for the locals. I do know the locals don't tend to go to the meg store as much as the tourists and the people like me who visit, but it is what it is. What up? I'm not going to try to say all that off the top of my head. Shanta Nukiatian. I just tried to say it. So it might be a bit late. We discuss Amorim's possible successor. Who do you think will be best? Well, Shanta, so I did put a link on Twitter, and I did put a link in the post section of this channel earlier today, because Dylan and I, my co-host for the weekly Kickabout, who will do that show this Wednesday, we did a show back in September when it was pretty rough. We did a deep dive on 8 managers who could maybe replace Ruben Amorim, who've been linked to the United job over the last several years. I did post that again. Go check it out. It is a bit long, but it is a bit fun. We had a lot of good time. We did a deep dive, tactics, pros, cons, win percentage, records, CV, all that stuff. Go check out that video when you're done here. There's a poll as well up in the community tab as well, that takes you to a link, so you can go ahead and vote for which one of those options would be your pick as well. I think so far Glasner is still winning with a considerable amount. I think that it's Glasner, and then I think Iriola, Xavi, and then I think somebody voted for Eddie Howe as well. But go check that one out. We did that video a couple months back. It's a pretty fun video. Bexley says, I do think at the end of the day, United fans should get more than 38% win rate. Yeah, it's been rough, man. It's been absolutely rough. What did Laurie Whitwell have to say about this? So Laurie Whitwell had chimed in as well with some more insight. He said, friction has emerged in recent weeks over the style of play. Wilcox is known to have discussions with Amorim over formations and I'm sorry, I was getting off the screen, and tactical choices. Their relationship has previously been seen as strong, but the tone of Amorim's words demonstrated a change. So that's what Laurie Whitwell had to add to the whole scenery. Tim, welcome. What a shambles. It is an absolute shambles, dude. It is an absolute shit show. Uh, Jomo's back in the house. We got all the oldies in here. I'll laugh if Southgate gets a job. Just give up on watching football, bro. CRM says Wilcox is worse than Murtaugh. Barada is worse than Arnold. Vivell is there. There was a reason Chelsea got rid of him after. I think Vivell's doing me, but Vivell doesn't have as much. He's a scout, basically. He's in charge of the recruitment stuff, and Vivell is looking at a lot of these youngsters from different places. I don't think Vivell has as much of a say in things, but Wilcox, Barada, Sir Jim, these are the guys that are probably going to be more involved when this process goes. Some other journalists chimed in. So Sam Wallace with The Telegraph, he claimed that this decision was made actually before the Leeds match, not after. Again, kind of like what we're seeing from a couple of journalists. I think the reason was because it sounds like Amorim and Wilcox just did not get along. The relationship had become a bit irreparable. Some will say he got sacked because he basically pulled a Ralph Ragnick and called out the club in that Leeds post match interview. Guys like Nathan Salt report that the club is insisting that his sacking has more to do with the lack of progress. Again, the club statement kind of said that, but everybody's going to say what they need to. I don't think Ineos are going to want it to be out there that they have a tension with managers. Amorim is not going to want it out there that it's just me kind of, sucking as a manager. Everyone's going to do their own spin a little bit, unfortunately. So Sierra says Amorim is a PR merchant speaker. Well, he does. He is a good speaker. I don't know if that's necessarily an issue. He doesn't really like all the speaking obligations that he has to do. He said that a couple times, but Bexy says, I disagree. I think Wilcox knows United need results today and not tomorrow. As I said, Sir Jim ain't a spring chicken. Yeah, I said that as well. Now, I guess it really comes down to, Bexy, how much you think a manager should have say in things versus how much the director of football should have a say. I don't know why you get a manager who is so system specific, who does require so many new players for that system early on in a rebuild, and then kind of tell him to do things differently. To me, that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying Amorim's football was great or anything. I just don't get. Again, this is why it comes back to Ineos, if that's the case. But yeah, we talked about that yesterday. I do think Sir Jim wants results now, and it's really just a matter of, do you think Amorim was the guy who's going to turn things around? Unfortunately, I don't know. CRM, you guys are having a little bit of a conversation. Nota says better not be Southgate. We need Emery. Emery's a lot of people's picks. Again, go watch that video and go vote in the poll as well. I put links to both of those in the community tab as well. Here's a question for you. Do you think that Chelsea may be looking for a manager again? High profile club, going to probably bring in a high profile manager soon. Maybe. Do you think that forced anyone's hand? I saw that Rossignol was linked. I haven't seen anything confirmed yet. Maybe that forced our hand. Maybe we don't want to miss out on a top choice. But I mean, any way you slice it, 15th last season, unacceptable. The Europa League final, unacceptable. The win percentage less than 37% is unacceptable. 3 wins in the last 11, 13 points in our last 9 matches is unacceptable, especially when you look at some of the teams we played. That 4-4 against Bournemouth was, yes, cool for the neutral, but not a good look, man. And it started to feel a little bit like it felt under Ollie. I'm not trying to disrespect Ollie, but again, it just felt like when plan A didn't work, there wasn't really a plan B. Maybe that's a young manager thing. Ollie just, it's not super experienced at a top level at that point. Amorim's still not very experienced. It just didn't seem like Amorim knew what to do when his system wasn't getting the job done, unfortunately. But yet, hey, we're 6th, a few points off top 4. Well ahead of where we all thought we would be this season, but so maybe in that regard, do you feel for Amorim a bit when it comes to that? Do you feel for him a bit when it came to the club, how the club handled AFCON? We knew that was coming up. We knew that those were 3 of our top players were going to be gone. Our whole right side basically gone. Do you feel for him a little bit in that regard? Do you feel for him with how slowly we moved in the summer to bring in new players? We got Cunha in June, and then we didn't do anything. And then it takes time for these players, especially with no preseason. I feel for every manager who's had to go through that. It's not a good look. His bench, all those youngsters that we had the other day, Malacia, Xerxes, do you feel for him in that regard? Or do you think, no, it doesn't matter, he should have gone? Doesn't, like, it is what it is. I want to know your thoughts on that. Let me get back involved in here. Let's see. Dylan says, no way Emery leaves Villa when he's got them going. And we'll see that Villa are still in that financial situation. So if they're not able to do anything financially, that could sometimes make the decision. Kind of like Glasner with the way Palace handle things. Sometimes that's enough. Paul Scholes was hired at Oldham, which is his childhood club, and he left because they had no plans to do anything transfer-wise and whatnot. Notas says, Amorim was charismatic and good-looking, all right, and good at interviews, but his tactics are terrible. Hey, I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people have pretty much said the same thing. I think Emery would probably play a football that you think United fans like. It is very expansive, very attacking, does use a lot of wing play and stuff. And he does have a lot of European pedigree. He's won a lot of Europa Leagues, and what he's doing with Villa, despite all the players they lost, you can't argue with that. You can't. Bexy says, even though Amorim had a terrible win rate, I preferred him. Eric Ten Hag, who won trophies. I didn't trust his signings at all. His pressers were shocking. Yeah. Yeah. Ten Hag, I mean, as far as personality-wise, they're almost polar opposites when it comes to press conferences. But yeah, Ineos, it's not a good look for Ineos, man. Because they paid 11 million euros, about just over 9 million pounds, to hire Amorim after sacking Ten Hag. Ten Hag left after 2.5 years in charge. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, another FA Cup final as well. I mean, but then under Amorim, like, we had our worst ever season, right? 15th, 42 points. That's the worst it's been since 70s, like 73, I think, is when it was back. We were knocked out of the FA Cup by Fulham last season. Grimsby Town, obviously, this season, not great. We got knocked out by Spurs last season in the Carabao Cup. Again, Europa League final was an absolute shit show. And that's the first time we've been trophyless since 21-22. And it's the first time we haven't been in Europe in well over a decade. And that's just not good enough when you start to look at it. I mean, the media do love to talk about how much money we've spent under Amorim's tenure. But again, that's not on Amorim. I'll never go in on a manager for how much a player costs. The manager doesn't decide that, nor does he decide the wages. And especially, too, I think Steve Housen said it earlier, too, if you look at, it's not just enough to look at money, because you could spend 100 million on one player, you could spend 100 million on 4 players. As far as our actual personnel, I think we've lost more players under Ruben Amorim than we've brought in. And so I think we're kind of at a net negative when it comes to our personnel at the moment right now. Tim says, Amorim was gutsy. Gutsy in the presser, not gutsy on the pitch, because our tactics have been anything but recently. Device says, yes, John, but if you started the season at United with that relegation zone, he was going to be set on a pike. You're talking about Emery? Who knows? I mean, Villa were struggling financially. He came in. Again, we never know. I'm not saying Emery is my first choice. I'm just saying Emery plays a style of football, and what he's done, you can't overlook that, is basically what I'm saying. It's factors for consideration, which I'm always interested in. Well, it brings us to this season and how we got to this point, because we have our worst start to a season since 92-93. 7 points from our first 6 games in the league, not good enough. Apparently, according to The Athletic, Sir Jim had flown in on September to have a bunch of meetings with Amorim, talk about the form and everything, and so that's never a good look that early in the season. The Carabao Cup exit, that's when Amorim started to kind of go off the rails a bit. Calling his own future into question, saying, something needs to change. The players clearly showed what they want. You guys remember that? He went on to say, I think later on that week, sometimes I hate my players, sometimes I love my players. And then there was that comment too, you guys remember, about us being the worst United team in history. Again, the pattern with Amorim seems to be, yes, a lot of what you're saying is true, but you still just shouldn't say it out loud, right? Say it behind closed doors. Don't say it in press conferences. His lack of filter has led to mixed reactions from a lot of people. Again, most of it has just been, dude, don't say that in public. What are you doing? And then after this Leeds match, I mean, this latest pressers seem to be basically daring Ineos to back him or sack him almost, according to many. And he said, I may not be Pep, my name may not be Conte, Jose Mourinho, but I'm still United manager. I didn't come here to be head coach, right? We talked about that last night. But then when I look at the juxtaposition between that and then the decision to sack him, sprinkled in with a little bit of the club's decision, like I said last night, to not post the comments on their website or post the video. Usually they do that. They did not do that. I think I'm inclined to agree a little bit with some of the people who were like, yeah, he's basically called him out. But that's too bad. Bexy says Amorim had youth connection with modern fans, but honestly, I think United crushed him early. At United, you need a dog eat dog mentality. 95% of your decisions, right? Yeah, it's hard. It is unfair at United. It is a different club. The pressure is just unlike any other club. You do have to hit the ground running in many ways, whether you're a manager or a player or an owner, for that matter. So it does not suffer. It's like a train. You have to jump on, or else you're gonna get left behind sometimes. And yes, I said it's not fair, but that's the nature of the job. Maybe, and I've questioned many times, was Amorim maybe just in over his head? He's a very young manager that can get to anyone. I mean, he's just 40. He's literally my age, and he's only been managing for like 6 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. Maybe that's on the club if that's the case. It's hard. It's hard. You know, you see it from young players too, but it's difficult, man. Lawrence Berry back in the house. I remember you. Ruben got rich via final display of necessary machismo, which is often missing given the treacherous environment. Yeah. I think I like that he backs himself. I like that he's going down swinging. I mean, you can respect it at the very end. And to some degree, you can almost respect sticking to his guns when it comes to tactics and whatnot. But again, that's why I don't get involved in a manager in, a manager out debate. Those decisions will cost you, or they'll get you backed by the club. Sack you, back you. That is what it is. And it's not you calling out someone in a presser that's going to do that. It's delivering the decision making. Decisions in a match, team selection, substitutions, shape, they're like ripples in a pond. They may seem small, but they still make big ripples, and they will have big implications. And that's just part of it. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in. Big up Rob Taff in the house, big active member in the United vs. Everybody WhatsApp group. Again, WhatsApp group is available for Starting 11 and Legends members. There is a members-only post where you can find the link to that as well. If you are interested, click on the post. Please don't share the link. It's for members. Please be respectful as well, because I don't want to have to go through the hassle of starting a new group or banning people. Come on. Jomo says the only qualification the next manager needs a Muppet. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This whole head coach versus manager thing, I think a lot of people are really isolating. They're kind of honing in on that. So that's Amorim, obviously the foreman. But we can't ignore Ineos's complete ineptitude when it comes to some of their big decisions since taking over, especially their appointments. Started with, gardening leave gate with Ashworth and Newcastle, that whole back and forth. Barada, both of these guys are on gardening leave, which was ridiculous. They were speaking to managers. They decided to stick with Ten Hag, give a new contract. Ridiculous. Because they immediately sacked Ashworth and Ten Hag, and now Amorim. So 3 major decisions, 3 kind of major personnel decisions, and they've been completely. And 2 of those people that are now sacked were basically a foundation for this rebuild in Ashworth and Ten Hag. Ashworth and Amorim, and now they're gone as well. I said, you guys remember, I said when they sacked Ashworth and they sacked Ten Hag that if they did it again, it was only going to make them look more incompetent, and it was only going to make their judgment appear less reliable. And this is where we are. I reminded everyone yesterday as well, again, like I said earlier, the Nice have gone through 6 managers in 2 years. Maybe they waited too long to sack Ten Hag. Maybe they waited too long to sack Amorim as well. But I think that this is where we're at. They probably should. Looking back, you can probably say we should have sacked both in the summer. They wasted a lot of money on Ashworth. They wasted a lot of money sacking Ten Hag, and now they've wasted a lot of money on Amorim. So this is, again, their judgment is under question. Barada was reportedly behind Amorim's appointment, so does that mean he should go too? We sometimes call on managers to go when they sign shit players, right? If Barada pushed, and that was a big reason why Ashworth is no longer at the club, then maybe that's Barada's judgment we need to be questioning. Even not that long ago, Sir Jim was publicly backing Amorim, saying, he deserves 3 years to show what he can do. That didn't last very long, did it? You literally half the time. Again, Ineos are just as accountable for where things are as Amorim was. It just is what it is. Big up, Rich. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I guess no wingbacks in January. Yeah. We need Morocco to do us a favor and give us Mbeumo back by knocking out Cameroon for all. Shanta says, I think Amorim was doing all right. Well, you might be in the minority, man. You might be in the minority. Lawrence Burry says, very sad day all the same. Do you think the season's been wrecked? I don't think the season's been wrecked. I think that obviously we're in sixth. We're not that far off a top four. I think we're in a much better position than a lot of us thought we would be. Really, a much better position than by all rights we have any right to be. And a lot of that is because nobody in the league seems to want top four right now. We talked last night. The swing between fourth place and like 12th is like 5 or 6 points. Literally, we don't even have to play on a given day, and we can drop a couple points. Like that's where it is right now, and it's more than halfway through the season. It's a little bit insane, man. Tobias says, I think Dan never wanted Amorim, so they sacked him. Now they sacked Amorim. I'll never understand. Yeah, I don't get it. They don't really seem to know what they're doing. But pick up, Rich. CRM says, they all need to go. If they are not the problem, then they are a solution to the problem. Yeah, I think that their decision-making, it's like me. So I own a business. I've got employees, right? If I hire someone, they were my pick, they do poorly, and I have to fire them. Okay, it is what it is. It might be a one-off, but if I have to start doing that over and over again, and eventually I've hired and fired 6 people, and these are people that I handpicked, eventually people are going to start to wonder, like, does Sean even know what he's doing? Like, that's just the way it is. And I said this like 2 years ago, man. Bexy says, onwards and upwards. I think Ineos are riding a bull, and eventually they will get it right. Wilcox, to be fair, he's put himself in the crossfire, seems to understand the stakes. I do think Ineos want to improve the club. I do think they have a plan. I just don't know if they're as competent as they want us to believe they are, personally. It's all nice. It's all well and good to have ambition, but if you're not good at it, it doesn't matter. This is why people go to the audition for like American Idol, and you're like, ooh, how did you get in here again? Like, nah, you need to turn around. Somebody done lied to you, bro. Bexy says, I think Ineos demands Champions League. I mean, a lot of us, it's funny though, because a lot of us start the season did not predict us finishing anywhere near Europe. A lot of us said like 7th, 8th, 9th even. Then Dylan and I did a little rehash of that a couple months back, and we all kind of upped it to maybe like 6th, 7th. So it's hard. Again, it's one of those things you can't have it both ways. We can't sit here and say we're never going to finish. We'd be lucky to finish top 10, but then turn around and demand Champions League. Like, it's hard. I get it. But you have to kind of isolate the demands. Yes, Manchester United Champions League, but context, maybe that's not super realistic. I get all sides. It's a shit situation. Rob Taft says, Martin O'Neill stepped in to help Celtic. Could do the same for us as caretaker. Keane give Keane, jeez. Do you think Keane would survive more than a day in this snowflake society? No. In any case, it sounds like it's going to be Darren Fletcher for a hot second. And I put a poll in the chat. Sorry, not in the chat, in the channel as well. What you guys think that would mean? Do you think it's Fletcher till the end of the season? Because the only thing the club has said is it's Fletcher for Burnley. So we don't have any guarantees on what's going to happen there. Do we think an interim manager? Do you think we're looking at interims? Do you think we're looking at permanent managers? Ornstein seems to think that it's Fletcher till the summer. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I like Fletcher, but like I said to start the show, he's been under 18s manager for like a minute, or under 18s coach. Like, surely he's not in any place to be an interim for more than a couple games. I just don't think he is. I don't trust. I would question, I even question Rude's ability to do it for the half the season, because it's just not super experienced. Ollie, a lot of people mention Ollie. Ollie's got experience. Michael Carrick has way more experience managing than Darren Fletcher or Rude did. Who would you guys do? What would you guys do? Is it Fletcher till the end of the season? Is it Fletcher for a couple games? Is it, do you think somebody else would come in? Who would you hire? We did that video. Like I said, I reposted the link to that. You guys can go check it out. But who would your pick be? What if you were in charge right now, what would you decide to do for the rest of the season? I know a lot of people are mentioning Xavi. He is available. Reportedly, we did speak to him spring before we fired Ten Hag. But I question, again, it's another guy with very little experience, very young as a manager. I don't know if Xavi would want to join mid-season, and I personally don't think we have the personnel to play the kind of football that Xavi plays. He's very Spanish, very pass and move, constantly exploiting the space, a lot of quick one-touch, especially in wide areas and triangles. I could do a breakdown if you guys want me to in the future. We already kind of did one in that video, but so I just don't know if we have the players who can do that. I don't trust, Ugarte wouldn't be able to do that. Bruno Menu probably would be able to do that. I don't trust Dallo or Dorgu really to do that in the wide areas. So we would have to sign players, and Xavi has expensive taste. Amorim didn't want to join midseason. I don't know if Xavi would want to join midseason. Many managers don't. But Ineos have shown that they're willing to spend money too. So maybe it doesn't have to be someone who's a free agent. Maybe it can be anybody. I do wonder what assurances Ruben Amorim was given to leave Sporting to come midseason. It can't just be come to United. It's got to be like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I don't know what he was given. I don't know what he was told. A lot of people say Glasner. I think he was winning the poll. Maybe in the summer. If Palace sell big stars in January this month, I think I could see Glasner walking away. Jason Burt with the Telegraph does think Glasner is our top choice, but people have been raging about a back three since Amorim got here. I don't know if Glasner is the guy that people would want then. CRM says Carrick till the end of the season. He was doing really well at Middlesbrough, and then they kind of fell off a cliff there for a little while. Rob Taft says Fletcher for 2 games is enough. Yeah, I think Fletcher for. I mean, people are going to like the football he plays because it's very attacking, and I'll show you that in a second here. But I don't know if people are going to really be a big fan of of anything more than that, unfortunately. Thought I had a photo up here of that. I think I forgot to add it at the last second. My bad, y'all. But yeah, Fletcher has spoken about playing attacking football, showing the under 18s old footage of like Rooney, Parker, Ronaldo, like attacking on the wings, free flowing. He says that's United DNA. So that's kind of what Fletcher is going to do personally. Rob says, no point waiting for managers who will be at the World Cup, too slow. Yeah, and that's my big worry too. Like I like Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann was probably my top pick when we were talking about replacing Ten Hag. I don't want to wait till after the World Cup, though, and that's the big issue. Like, he needs to have a preseason. We can't wait for him to come in and start working with players till after. That just doesn't work. Some people mention Emery. Yes, he's experienced. He's got a lot of Europa Leagues. He's basically Mr. Europa League. He does play attacking football. So, does it even... My question to you is this. I'm going to get charted. Let me get started in here. Let me get caught up here. Debasi says Glasner, nah, he plays back 3 and they are behind. Yeah, they're not having a great season. It does. I mean, that's going to happen though too when you lose a lot of your best players. I mean, they lost Eze very late in the window. They didn't really do much. They just signed Brennan Johnson, but is he as good as Elise? Is he as good as Eze? Mark Gahey could be gone anytime now. He's not renewing the contract, and they don't sign an excellent center back. I mean, it's kind of like Iriola at Bournemouth. They just keep selling their best players, man. Red Dylan says Ollie and Carrick to say, Ollie come in, maybe Carrick just kind of do a tandem managerial situation. That would be funny. Here's my question though to you guys: does it even matter who we appoint anymore? I think that the role of manager is quickly becoming less and less what we all grew up kind of knowing it to be. Right, the role of manager is becoming extinct. The manager used to be the figurehead on the training ground, the leader when it comes to the power dynamic and whatnot. What he says goes. The game has grown, right? Understandably, the game has evolved. Clubs really don't want to give one person so much power. I get that, but I think the other side of that coin is potentially having too many cooks in the kitchen as well. But I think what this has led to at big clubs is a lot of confusion, a lot of ambiguity over who decides what, who's got the final say. I think clubs do want the head coach to kind of shape and develop the culture and the vision that they want on the pitch, but yet that's also diluted a lot of the power that these coaches have now. Again, Amorim said he came to United to be a manager, not a head coach, but his title is head coach. Titles don't even really reflect a lot of that power either that you're actually going to have. The job description, the actual duties and responsibilities, and the say-so and things might not reflect what you think it's going to reflect. But there is a difference, right, between manager and coach. Otherwise, why bring it up? I think that now you've got more moving parts at clubs, and I think that the culture part of it does need to be a little bit more a priority, a little bit more intentional, because you need to have some sort of a constant, and the vision, the culture needs to be at the forefront of that. But it rarely is. It just rarely is these days. Look at clubs who tout rebuilds and then they quickly turn around and cut the legs off and make changes. I think that with all this complexity, you are going to see cracks forming very, very quickly at clubs. I think you're going to see decisions being made very quickly at clubs. We live in a world, especially in football, where there's a constant desire and a demand for results, for quick results. being a head coach is not an easy task. It's not an easy ask to get those results that quickly. Publicly, boards will sell that patience, right? They'll tout patience. We back this person. We give him 3 years. But the decision making at elite football is made by financial things. How well you're performing at various financial checkpoints throughout the fiscal year is generally not. It's all sounds well and good to give managers time, but that's just not the way it works. You're not going to get multi-year arcs as a manager when finances play such a big role, unfortunately. Under PSR, Premier League clubs are, they work right now with that 105 million loss limit across 3 years. The squad costs are spread across through amortization as well, but poor runs of form quickly become risks on a balance sheet. I don't like it. It's just the way it is right now. And then it becomes about asset protection rather than results. Again, it sucks. Managers tend to be removed when problems arise, when results go, because that protects the player value. The players have way more value as assets than the managers do. European qualification is a big issue as well. Results matter. Compensation is almost built on expected failure these days. Severance packages have become the norm. We've talked about Jose Mourinho many, many times. Most clubs go into it with short contracts, kind of assuming there's going to be an early exit. That's just the way it is, and they kind of plan for that. So the turnover is just built in sometimes to the whole vision. And that really what that comes down to is a direct contradiction at the heart of what is modern football now. Clubs need stability, but the finances and the kind of unknowns kind of reward almost quick decision makings and interventions. It's really just a self-contradictory kind of place we find ourselves in. And so what it means is things are less about quality of coaching and they're more about how football is run as a business and how you manage those risks. Unfortunately, it really sucks. Danny B's in the house, says nearly missed you. Well, you missed all the good stuff, man. That's all right. I just went on a little bit of a rant there about modern football and power struggles and whatnot too. Let me get caught up on the chat here. Baxi says Ineos have developed the training ground, made the club more profit efficient, got a stellar youth academy they help maintain. Who do you think would do better? An Arab Sheik? Yeah, I don't buy for 1 second the Qatari bid. Yeah, and I do think that Ineos have done a lot. I just don't think they're as good at running a football club as they like people to believe. I think that their judgment to me has been a little questionable. And yes, they put in money, they have big vision, but they need to move a bit quicker. They need to get things right. I said the decisions that we start making need to be spot on, whether it's manager appointments, recruitment, any of that shit, because they've got too much bad optics, too much negative PR, too many big bad decisions that they've made for them to keep doing it. If they were managers, they would have been sacked. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Bexy says, United are a decade behind, not a couple years. Oh, for sure. We're a couple decades behind, dude. Rob Taff says, the manager needs to be open-minded about signings and also have input. Yeah, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But again, it seems like it's easier to dismiss the manager when they're not kind of agreeing with everybody. So CRM says, what if the scenario down the road and the club made the right choice? The new manager comes in, hits the ground running. The rest will be history. I hope today Ineos learn from, well, again, kind of like Amorim, Ineos do need to learn from mistakes. And I'm questioning whether they have by what they've done with some of the appointments. Big up Jules in the house. Yep. You guys kind of missed all the juicy stuff. We're kind of coming to the end here in a second. But guys, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. I wasn't planning to do a stream today. I had my day all set with errands and stuff. I had to kind of squeeze this into my wife's clients, so I had some time to kill. So we will have a hard cutoff here in a little while. But of course, the club can never just let me have a nice quiet day. I have to come in and do this shit. It's all right. We'll do a scouting report tomorrow. It's completely changed my match preview for Burnley too, so I've had to completely go and revamp a lot of that stuff. So that'll be fun, but it's all good because I forgot Burnley was Wednesday until yesterday. CRM says today has to be the turning point. Today has to be the day we remember sacking Amorim, the best thing in the club. Well, I get where you're coming from. Like, the next decisions need to make us think like that, right? But again, the question becomes, do you trust them to do that? Because right now, the last 3 big personnel decisions they've made have not been great. They've had to go back and which has killed us financially as well. We spent a lot of money hiring and firing these 3 individuals as well. It's really annoying. Tiger Claws, I love it. Is it Tiger or is it Tigre? We'll call it Tigre Claws because that's the way it's spelled in Spanish. I want to see the signings. I doubt we get that in this window now. Top five available. We don't want it a parable. Well, don't sleep on signings. If there's one thing that we know United is good at, it is peddling some sort of transfers nonsense to try to cover up bad PR. If Ineos want to get back on good graces, the best thing they could do is sign a midfielder now. But if they sign a midfielder now, that's kind of shit because they didn't do it for Amram, and that would be a dick move, honestly. Yeah, no, I agree, CR Sam. There is no room for mistakes anymore. They have to get them right. And I said that before this decision, though, and this was not another instance of not a good decision. Um, Bexy was happy when we hired Anarim. I thought it was a modern appointment. Yeah, we all thought that, but it quick, kind of like signing a young player. Like, well, not to pick on you, we'll say Euro, for instance, hot young prospect. But again, what you're going to get with young players is a dip in form. They're going to be inconsistent, and Euro's in that dip in form. And Amarim, young manager, I think the pressure's getting to him. Maybe he was in over his head. Maybe he was too afraid of looking bad. Maybe that's the reason why he didn't want to change things up. Couldn't tell you. You'd have to ask him. Um, Danny said, I said last week, Amarim go out like Ragnick. Yeah, he didn't go as explicitly about it as Ragnick did, right? I just don't think Ragnick cared at that point, but um, we'll see what happens there. What are you guys saying here? Danny said, can't kick on this season. Yeah, at Fantasy Premier League. Becky says, will Rashford be back now? I don't know if Rashford will want to come back. I think Rashford's moved on. Honestly, I wouldn't want Rashford back. I saw Henry Winter doing an interview this morning with Stretford Paddock, and I couldn't help but make a comment that, like, it's, first of all, Henry Winter's opinions on everything are completely biased towards English anything. He went on a rant about Bruno Fernandes and then compared him to Harry Maguire, saying Harry Maguire is a much better leader. And I'm like, your English bias is so just transparent. But this was the same Henry Winter who gave that interview with Marcus Rashford and basically undermined Ruben Amorim. So I don't really believe anything Henry Winter had to say. I've got bad feelings about Henry Winter, so it is what it is. CRM says, will we see Manu? Honestly, if Manu all of a sudden miraculously gets fit, I want him sold. Like, period. I don't care if you have an issue with the manager. I don't care. The club needs to come first. If he's going to conveniently pick up an injury, which I never believed in the first place, and he's all of a sudden back fit, he's hopping around like a little bunny on the pitch, he needs to go. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, I'm sorry, but we can't have that. We cannot have that happen. So, managers are asked to continue my first point here. Managers are asked to deliver a lot of things, the culture, the identity, most importantly, results. But they're frequently unable to operate on their own terms or even see through a long-term vision because, again, too much of the day-to-day control now at a club sits above their shoulders. They don't get a lot of say now. What's missing here is some clear boundaries, some clear delineation of responsibilities and tasks. Who owns the footballing idea and vision? Who kind of arbitrates those decisions when there's opposing views behind closed doors? It feels like now a lot of things kind of go towards the direction of whoever happens to have the owner's ear, right? Whoever agrees with the owner, whoever wants to be the yes man. And that, to me, that's not structure. That's echo chamber. That's volatility. That's uncertainty. You can't have that. You have to welcome dissent in that. You have to welcome differing opinions and not just sack people when they don't agree with you. That's not the way it works. I think until clubs start to align the authority with the responsibility and have a clear definition of how power and decision-making action and responsibilities actually flow at an individual club, you're going to see the same cycle of head coaches coming and going without ever really a big change to the system that's around them. It's just part of what's going to be happening. Now, I don't like it. That's where it's going. I said it in the WhatsApp group. Again, starting 11 Legends members can get involved in there. And I'll say it again. What I'm really upset about with this latest news, obviously with Ruben Amorim being sacked, what I'm the most upset about is that I'm not even really that shocked or upset. Like, I'm anywhere near as surprised as I would have been 10 years ago. That's upsetting to me that this is just the norm now. This has happened too many times for this just even like touch me in any way, shape, or form now. And unfortunately, I don't see it changing anytime soon, which maybe more is the pity. It's just the way it is, man. Debasi says, I bet 5 memberships Kabi is partying with his half brother. Oh, if he is, then again, he just needs to go. Like, this is what it is. Bexley says, yes, Manu out. Again, we don't know for sure. We might never know for sure, but I think we will know if he's just all of a sudden fit again. We'll have an idea, right? CRM says, I think the Manu injury was PR fudge from the club. Manu was getting punished because of his brother. Well, Amorim came out and defended him and said it wasn't him, it was his brother, so nothing wrong. Nobody's come and talked to me though, but again, we can't reward that kind of behavior from players. We can't. I don't care if it hurts us. I know there are a lot of people who are putting players first because they're good players, but mentality, your attitude, your professionalism has to come first. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if your feet are kissed by God. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole. If you're selfish, you're selfish. If you're a snake behind the scenes, then you're a snake behind the scenes, and I don't want you anywhere near my club. Don't really care. I really don't care. So, but that's just me. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know. Keep getting your thoughts in. Where are we at on this poll? I want to go check and see where this poll is at right now, you guys. Please make sure you're liking and subscribing. We got 35 votes. So I said, who's in the wrong here? Was Amorim the wrong guy? Did Ineos hang him out to dry? I just now realized that rhymed, so that's awesome. 51% of you think that Ineos did not back him enough. 14% say Amorim just needed to go. 34% of you say it's a bit of all three because there was a third option of the players didn't do enough. Nobody voted for that one. So nobody's kind of throwing the players under the bus here. So it is what it is. But it sounds like most of you think that Ineos didn't do a good enough job of supporting him with players. I do agree. There's probably a bit of all three. I've been very critical of Amorim in the last several months, just of his poor decision making, not learning from mistakes, a little bit of cowardice. We know we talked a lot about cowardly tactics. I mean, Dylan and I were at the Newcastle match the other week where we went up 1-0, and then for the entire second half, we parked the bus. And that, to me, is just the epitome of cowardice in football, because it didn't feel like Jose Mourinho parking the bus where Jose's off there on the front foot doing it. It felt like Amorim was so afraid of losing it's hoping. And I did not like it. Did not like it one bit, but so I'll leave the poll open for another hot second. You guys remember, there is the link back. I reposted the link to that video on managerial candidates. Please go give that a watch if you haven't yet, and hype it while you're watching it. And then there's a poll as well right above the link to that one to go and vote for your options as well after you've kind of seen it all. Let me see what you guys are in here. Sarah M says Manu needs to know his place. No, I agree. Manu's a young kid. If he's focused more on World Cup stuff, then he needs to just go, or he needs to fix up. You guys know my motto: fix up or fuck off. Just the way it is. CRM says, under Ferguson, this stuff would never have happened. He commanded discipline. Rooney goes out drinking, gets dropped for the Boxing Day game. Yeah, I mean, Amorim has done that. I think Ten Hag did it right as well. But I just don't think that's like that. My whole last 10-minute rant was basically, I just don't think that's where it's going. I think the clubs, the owners, the directors have their vision. The manager's there to kind of get things going on the pitch and in the dressing room, and that's the extent of their powers these days. Amorim went down swinging. I'm a manager, not a head coach, and maybe that was the issue. Maybe that was what ultimately the straw that broke the camel's back. We may never know the truth. We can all speculate, but we all kind of had that feeling that was coming here. Tobias is never going to throw players under the bus if they never played in the right positions. I mean, I hear you. I don't think that playing in the right position has anything to do with attitude, though. I think that's just the way I feel. I don't think Manu's issue was not playing in the right position. I think Manu's issue was just that he wasn't playing. And he's young. He had a lot of injuries. I think that sitting on the bench at Manchester United, I do agree with Amorim that that's a great place to be. And he needed to give maybe Amorim more in training, maybe the attitude. Attitude mentality is a big thing for him. So CRM says Rashford got away with it. Didn't he get benched? And then he came on second half. So it is what it is. It's kind of like City getting a fine, right? It's a slap on the wrist. It doesn't really do anything. I'm a bit old school. I'm a bit Old Testament. You do need to send a message, and if it does hurt the results on the pitch, then that's more the responsibility for you to carry around on your shoulders. That's just the way it is. You hurt the team when you act out like that, and you have to get benched or just omitted from the squad altogether. And so everyone, and that's my thing. Like, it's like in the military, right? If someone messes up, everybody runs laps. Like, you got to be held accountable, and that's what it is. So there need to be leaders in there to keep these youngsters in line, and I don't know if we have enough of that. I think people are I kind of felt to the point where the players are maybe just starting to like get their head down and just make sure that they were doing what they needed to do. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot of unity there. Maybe that's why some people are going the Eddie Howe route. He does have a knack for bringing unity. I just don't think he's quite good enough personally. Big up Omar Bassam. Welcome to the channel. Ineos are just Glazers in disguise. They're a disgrace to this football club. Sir Jim, just leave. Are you Is this Danny B's burner account? Is that who you are? Are you trying to get on Danny B's good side? Yeah, it isn't hard to be better than the Glazers. Ineos just seem to be trying very hard not to be with a lot of their decisions. They have put in money. They have revamped Carrington. They have brought in some good players, but I don't know, man. I just don't get a good feeling these days. But there are no other options. There's really nobody else out there who's can come in and just buy the club and do that. I don't believe the Qatari person was even a real person, let alone has the actual financial backing to do it. Remember, they couldn't prove it financially, and so that's a big part of why they're not here. Go take Thomas Ziliakis' sponsorship money, get half a billy, and throw that at something that could help too. I don't know why we're turning down money for it's a sponsorship deal. The guy doesn't want to be owner; he wants to contribute to his sponsorship. Put his business's name on the sleeve for all I care. We're losing our sleeve sponsor in the summer anyway. There's going to be a spot there. Let him take that if he wants. Put another logo on the back of the jersey for all I care. I really don't care. So, all right, I'm going to close that poll. So far, 50% say somebody did vote for the players didn't do enough. All right, big up. But I'm gonna leave it there, you guys. I'm gonna go just take care of some things around the house. Omar says Qatar was the big chance, but they ruined it. We are showing. Well, again, Sir Jim's ultimate valuation put the club at a higher final cost than the Qatari bid, if you want to believe the Qatari bid. So ultimately, by the time it was all said and done, Sir Jim would have given the Glazers more money for the club than the other bid that was on the table, allegedly. But we'll see what happens. I will be back tomorrow with a preview of Burnley match. I do have a scouting report planned as well. I have another handful of players for you guys to take a look at. I just forgot the Burnley match was midweek, so it's kind of throwing everything else. But yes, Jules, what a day indeed, man. Like I said, I wasn't even planning to be here today, but yes, please remember to hit that like button for me. Please remember to subscribe if you guys are new and you like what you see. Check out those membership perks as well. It's more than just badges and emojis because, again, the conversation doesn't have to end because the stream does. Go check out the WhatsApp group. It's available for Starting 11 and Legends members. And also, if you get some time, go check out the United vs. Everybody online store. Tons of one-of-a-kind gear in here, such as the OG green and gold logo shirt that I'm rocking today. Go check it out if you guys want to support the channel in that way as well. And if you don't want to commit to monthly memberships, you can always throw a super chat if you feel so inclined to help in that way. Tons of options to get more involved, tons of options to contribute to the channel's growth and help us on our road to 3K. I appreciate every little thing you guys are doing. There's no pressure ever. I really just love chatting with you guys. So take it easy, guys. Enjoy your day. I will see you guys on the next one, and be sure to come back for the premiere or the preview of the Burnley match. So take it easy, guys.